We have already covered a lot about Kaizaar Weapons, from getting your hands on orbs, getting your hands on the cubes. We have also done Brazilia in the past, and today I am here to of course show you where you can get your hands on your Rokz Weapons. And I get it's just a series now of how to unlock Kaizaar. And of course, today I'm going to be mainly showing you how to do it. If you are a melee quack, do not worry, I will have videos up about if you play a mage or if you play a gunner style quack, do not worry, that will be coming very soon. But today is for all you melees. But with that, before we hop into it, you know what time it is. It's time for your #1 stop for PSO2 New Genesis gameplay, how-tos, and all that jazz. And of course, a big thank you to everybody that's supporting here through membership, Patreon, and Twitch as well. And we will go more in detail about that in a bit. But for now, let's jump into this and let's start talking about Kaizaar or Rokz Weapons. So starting off with your Kaizaar Weapon, you're gonna have to get your hands on a whole bunch of items. I have already made videos about cubes and orbs, and I believe I have also a Brazilia, so if you're interested in them videos on how to specifically farm them, links above and in the description below. But today we are going to be hunting for your Rokz Weapon, which there is a few things to keep in mind here, which is of course, when it comes to these, you are going to have to upgrade them to plus 50, but do not do anything beyond that. Do not put augments on it, do not do potential, because none of that stuff is going to carry over into your Kaizaar. So it honestly is just a waste. And if you're planning on using a Rokz Weapon leading up to your Kaizaar, it'll be propelled to lose that progress once it becomes a Kaizaar, or try to get you a duplicate. That way you can of course get your hands on one that you can upgrade till you get your Kaizaar unlocked. So the thing is about the weapon is there will be a few ways to get your hands on these. Of course, you can buy them from the player shop at the time of that video. I don't believe they're that expensive, but if you do want to try to farm it yourself, you can do it in a few means. So the majority of the weapons are going to be found from dreads and variants, and I will cover which ones and where they are in a moment. But you're going to be able to get it through hunting them, as well as some of the enemies will of course spawn in other areas as well as normal mobs. You also have a chance of getting the weapon from them as well. So pretty much any mob I talk about in the video, if you see a non-dread version of them, probably want to try to take them on, because who knows, you might get lucky and get the weapon as well. But we're mainly going to be focusing on the dread side, since that is a little more reliable to farm, and I believe also might have a higher drop rate. I could be wrong on that, let me know in the comments. And also, outside of that, some of these you can also find the enemies you need to hunt inside Origin quests that are specifically in Kaizaar. So you might be able to get lucky and get it that way. As well as, of course, taking on a rank 2 when it comes to fighting Dark Falls. And of course, I will go into detail in a moment about how to get them to actually trigger the Dark Fall rank 2 fight. And then, of course, another way to get your hands on these is, of course, through a event called Trapped in the Forest. Just know this event at the time of this video is not in the game. It was mainly tied to other past events and limited time tasks. There was no guarantee when or if that task will ever come back. So just keep in mind, if you do see that in the future, you can also farm pretty much every one of the weapons from that event as well. But once again, it's not in the game right now, so just more of a side note for future endeavor if it does come back. So with that, let's go ahead, let's discuss on how to take on and get your hands on triggers to do, of course, the Darkfall rank 2, and then we will get into all the dreads. From ally activity support Tom, you can find him in each of the main cities here, and of course by talking to him and also by completing his alliance tasks, you will be rewarded with alliance badges that you can then of course trade in through the badge shop to get your hands on the rank 2. The thing to keep in mind here is of course it will require 5 badges, and in return you will receive 5 triggers for this, so you can do each of the 5 times. Just know, going that route, it is tied to weekly, since this is a weekly NPC, so you can only get so many a week through that means. But with that being said, you can also get the dropping from Emperor Wappy and Great Wappies if they are spawning in the game at the moment, so you can hunt them down if need be. But just know, once again, this is something that may or may not be around depending on when you are trying to do that, especially with them being tied to seasonal event right now, and no information it is something that gonna actually stay around once the seasonal event that happening right now wrap up. So just keep in mind, you can farm it that way, but make sure it's available for you at whatever point in time you might be trying to farm these. Or the better option here, which is of course you can go ahead and buy these as well for the player shop, and you're looking at 10,000 a try. So if you do decide to go that way outside of your weekly badges and trying to farm them for enemies that may or may not be around, your better option honestly might just be buying it out the player shop because it's easier. So this is the way I personally would recommend it if you got the must setup to do so. And then our net Rokz weapon, that one will of course be for fighters. So that weapon we can get once again through the same means as before, such as Dark Fall, the Origin Quests, and the Trap in the Forest drill that's not available at the moment. But the main thing of interest here is, of course, we will, of course, get that from hunting down another very specific enemy, which is a Zoa Martis, I guess how I pronounce, which is, of course, another dread enemy, which is, of course, this elephant that is literally just hanging out right here. And of course, you can go ahead and find the enemy down here in, of course, West Kaizaar. Roughly well the teleporter is for a lot central. But the thing to keep in mind here, will literally to close the teleporter it either by hitting up the Rokz device in West Kaizaar or by heading up into the north, since this enemy will spawn outside in the overworld, not in Lot Central. Any up on the map, it pretty much look like it does. So you can go ahead and find it once again hanging out right here outside of Lot Central, out in the open. Honestly, probably also that to the cocoon is probably another good landmark for this dread. And then our net weapon, which is another fighter weapon here, which is called the Rokz Kobai Field. Once again, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And of course, that one we need to hunt down another enemy by the name of Malactic, which can be found in West Kaizaar here. And of course, as you can see, this is of course the chicken looking dread. And as far as that location, you are looking at right down here on the edge, going back towards Alio. And of course, that one you can go ahead and kill as well to hopefully get your hands on this Rokz weapon. And our net weapon is the Rokz Sigma Dagger. And that one we need to go ahead and hunt us a ice bouncer. And that one can of course be found in, of course, a central Kaizaar. And you can go ahead and find that one right next to the bridge going across the gorge. Also, if you follow the big river down for, if you're out here mining, once you hit the end of the river here, you of course will find the dread hanging out over here on the left side. And of course, it will be the giant cat enemy. And once you kill that one, hopefully you will get lucky and get that Rokz weapon. And then on that one is another fighter Rokz weapon here with of course the Rokz Corvette Saber. And this time we need to go ahead and hunt it down a crocodilus. So to start off, that one is a little bit different than all the other dreads and enemy we've been fighting up to that point, because that one you can get it from the dread behind me that you will find literally right up here in North Kaizaar, a white net to the central Kaizaar, a Rokz device. So you will have a chance to get the weapon from that one. as well as of course being able to get it by doing trial missions out in of course the ruin area. He can also spawn, and on top of that there is a origin quest that will appear sometime in Kaizaar, where you will specifically fight the version of him, and you can of course also get the Rokz Weapon to drop from that as well. So you got a few more options here. Might it be defeating the Dread, farming him out in the ruins, or by taking him on inside the origin quest, right along with all the other means as well. And that is how you get your weapon, once again, for fighters, since if you can't tell, fighters have a lot of weapons. Then we have the Rokz Weapon Knuckles. This is going to be another one that you're going to have a few options here, because we need to go ahead and hunt down Arms Kaizaar. So this enemy will spawn in a few places, as well as a origin quest that you will have very similar to the crocodile fight, where you fight specifically just him as a final boss. You can get it from that origin quest. And if you are out and about farming up some of your other materials, you might also have a chance to actually fight him as a ancient, which in return you might be able to get it dropping from here. And of course, if you want more information on ancients, I did a video all about it. Links above or in the comments as well, so you can hunt him there. And then of course, our next option is by heading into Lost Central. There is a chance he will spawn doing trial missions, as well as doing PSE bolts as well in Lost Central. And of course, you have a shot of getting it to drop here as well. But once again, this is a little more RNG, since you can't just farm him through the normal means of a veteran or dread. So that one might take a little bit more, but once again, hopefully you have good luck. And just like all the other weapons, of course the Knuckles are once again for fighters. And now getting into some playable weapon here with the Rokz Weapon, which I feel like I've been pronouncing it totally different every time. Either way, katana. And this will be, of course, mainly for melee if you are doing, of course, a playable. Just know playable can use a bow, and I will cover that when we get into the weapon type for range character. But for the katana as is, we can, of course, get that one from Maconn. Once again, probably butchering that. And of course, you can go ahead and find this enemy in South Kaizaar, right up here at the top of the mountain, kind of close to the cocoon. And of course, the enemy we are hunting for is, of course, this bad boy down here. That is, I guess, a lizard snake enemy. And of course, you can get your item from this one, as well as, of course, some of the ones you might find in origin quests, or also popping up in some of the other areas that gather about. But once again, fighting the dreads are probably the most easiest to actually farm here. And then we have our Rokz blades, and this is a bouncer weapon. So that one is pretty similar to some of the other weapon we talked about before, with us of course hunting for Kaizaar. And once again, you can go ahead and find it bar in Lost Central through trials and PSE boards, as well as, of course, the origin quests where you got to suppress this enemy in Kaizaar. And them are your two easy means of actually getting your hands on the bouncer weapon. And our final weapon here is the Rokz Weapon sword that you can find for hunters. And that one we need to hunt down. Crocodile sword, which you can go ahead and find down in, of course, West Kaizaar near the ocean. And of course, it is a giant enemy here, and you can, of course, also have a chance of getting it from the ancient as well in Kaizaar. So if you follow me up some of your other Kaizaar item, you will have a chance to get it that way as well. But this is well, you can go ahead and find the Pacific Dread, which hopefully will let you and give you good enough luck to get your hands on this sword. there is everything you need to know about getting your Rokz weapon for melee character, because once again, I will be doing videos of breaking down how to actually get that for ranged characters as well as mage characters as well. So make sure you do the thumbs up, subscribe, hit all the bells so you won't miss out on that. A single video will be coming very soon. And before I head on out, I do want to give a giant thank you to everybody that is supporting over on patreon.com/Maconn, as well as subscribing over on twitch.tv/TroyMaconn as well. Thank you my dudes. And if you do want to get your name listed here and help support the channel, be sure to check out them links to each of them in the description below. And with that, that's gonna do it for me for today. I will see you tomorrow for more PSO2 New Genesis how-to gameplay and all that jazz. And I will see you all in the comments.